Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lords of the Night. With me, as always, is the Lord of Pain, Ranting Monkey,
Hey, guys.
and the Lord of Pennies, Satsu 2 cents.
What up, Dow?
And I'm your host, Scribe, the Lord of Punishment. Hello, chat. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone has had a good week, that you're all safe and sound, whether you're in the floodplains or hurricane zones or otherwise. Hello, Satsu. Hello, Monkey. How are you guys doing? How are you, Satsu?
I'm good. How you doing, buddy?
I'm okay. I'm trepidatious. Because Daredevil season 3 came out today. I haven't watched any yet. I will be starting it after the stream. And in preparation for it, I watched season 1, season 2, and Defenders again, much to my gritted teeth, as Defenders wasn't that great. But I'm all ready to take on this new season, and I'm going to try to stay away from as many spoilers as possible and give a review of it in the next couple of days once I finish it. So we'll see. Anyway, Monkey, how are you?
I'm here. I'm here and I'm ready to go.
Here you are. Do, 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 do. Rock you like the original shroom. Do, 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 do. Thank you, Dark Shade. Eggy Weggy Mooma.
Now he's just fucking with us.
I don't mind.
I like how it gets a modification every time.
It does.
Let's see. Was there anything else? I'm trying to think. Oh, just a programming note. I will be absent come Monday. Mama Scribe is visiting from out of town, so I will be off and having dinner with her and the sister unit. Other than that,
and we are playing the Forest tonight after the show,
yes.
So make sure you go to 2 cents plus when we're done here, guys.
That's right. Let's see. Well, then, Monkey Dick, Jim Jones, movies, video games. Hit that like button if you haven't already, and a good 3/4 of you have not, or 2/3, I should say. Yeah, get my math right here. And share our stuff. Please, please, please. If you like anything that we've ever done, please share it. Facebook, Twitter, Napster, Friendster.
Tell strangers on the street. It's a good way to start a conversation.
Yeah, just stop some random person on the street and say, "Watch the fucking Lords of the Night!" Like, oh, okay. Maybe not.
And
like
when you get arrested, tell the police officers.
That's right. The cops love us too.
Indeed. And we love them.
Yeah, we love the cops. Unless it's Maniac Cop. And a Maniac Cop, maybe not so much. Let's see. Is there anything else we need to talk about and or plug before we get into the wonderful world of schnuz?
I learned today that some women don't like to have oral sex done to them because they don't like spit.
And which lucky lady did you learn this from?
I learned it from a couple, actually.
Oh, wow. You've been a busy boy today.
Dorkin Pop-Tart told us that this morning. I never knew that. That was, you know how they say you learn something new every day? That was one that's kept me thinking all day. Like, that's odd.
All right. I mean, I've met women who just don't enjoy the sensation or didn't get anything out of it or something.
Sure, but not just because they don't like saliva.
Yeah, it seems a little odd.
It was weird to me, but anyway.
Do they like to kiss?
I forgot to ask. We're near the end of the show, and I was so so weirded out by that. It's like, that's so weird.
Well, that aside, you guys like Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, there's oil's okay.
So we have a semi-breaking news update story on the whole Jamal Khashoggi situation. Jamal Khashoggi died in fight at Istanbul consulate, Saudi state TV claims.
Who the fuck did? Okay, I haven't read any of the stories of this. All I saw was that headline.
Yeah. This overweight journalist got into a fight at the Istanbul consulate when he was going to get documents to affirm his engagement.
That led to his death.
Yeah, that's well, that's quite a story. Let's see. Saudi Arabia has confirmed the death of missing Saudi journalist and Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi, claiming he died in a fist fight at the country's consulate in Istanbul. An announcement carried on Saudi state TV said discussions between Khashoggi and officials at the consulate quickly turned violent and ended in his death. 5 high-ranking officials have been removed from their posts, including the deputy head of the Saudi intelligence service, and 18 Saudis have been detained, state TV said. So wait, let me back up a little bit here. So 5 and the head of the intelligence and 18. Let me see. That equals 24 people have all been in some way, shape, or form punished for a death via fight.
And remember, who was it? Their ambassador actually left yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The statement was the first official confirmation of Khashoggi's death in Turkey 18 days ago, and the first acknowledgement by Saudi Arabia of its role in it. Quote, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia expresses deep regret at the painful developments that have taken place in this case and affirms the commitment of the authorities in the kingdom to bring the facts to the attention of the public and to hold accountable all those involved, the statement said. Yes, the fox shall be investigating the hen house.
So basically, we deeply regret that thing that we orchestrated, and we are pleased to present you to people that we're scapegoating for it.
Khashoggi disappeared after going to the Saudi Arabian consulate in Istanbul at about 1:15 p.m. on October 2nd to obtain paperwork to marry his Turkish fiancée, Hatice Cengiz. I'm probably fucking that up. She raised the alarm just before 5 p.m. while she was still waiting outside. According to the Saudis' explanation, discussions between Khashoggi and those who met him on his arrival at the consulate led to an argument and physical altercation. Those responsible then tried to cover up the death, state TV said. You guys are trying to cover up the cause of death, I think.
No.
The Saudis have set up a commission. Yeah, they have set up their own commission that will investigate the death and will have 1 month to release a report, state TV said. Wait. Okay, I'm going to read it as it's written. Let me try this again. The Saudis have set up a commission that will investigate the death and will have 1 month to release a report, comma, state, capital TV said, capital T, the commission. No period, just, there you go.
All right.
Will consist of national security officials, the foreign ministry, and interior ministry. So no outside uninvolved third parties. Got it. Yeah.
Where does Body go?
Well, I don't know. I guess the commission will find out.
I hope so.
None of the Saudi statements give any clue as to what happened to Khashoggi's body.
Oh, I'm psychic.
Yeah. U.S. officials have told CNN that the operation could not have been carried out without the knowledge of Saudi Arabia's de facto ruler, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. The apparent circumstances of Khashoggi's disappearance caused worldwide revulsion. Businesses pulled out of an investment conference due to be held in Saudi Arabia next week, and U.S. President Donald Trump came under pressure to issue an unequivocal condemnation. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders said in a statement, quote, the United States acknowledges the announcement from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia that its investigation into the fate of Jamal Khashoggi is progressing and that it has taken action against the suspects it has identified thus far. Yeah, he didn't die in a fist fight. That's about bullshit. Thank you, Snubbirth. Omewamu Shindiru.
Oh my Washindiru. Oh, that's funny.
If you know what that means, you're a smarter man than I, Gunga Din. I don't know what that is.
It's too late. You're dead already, Scribe. Don't worry about it.
What does it mean?
Yeah, what does it mean?
Continue.
Did I just like chant like my own death warrant or something?
No, you good.
I have to look this up now.
Yeah, you do that. Senior research assistant Monkey will help me out here. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, there's not much else to say right now. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, who is responsible for this guy's death, is going to look into itself as to the cause of the guy's death, even though they've already determined somehow that it was a fist fight. The most awkward part is them describing what happened to the body and trying to confirm his cause of death. If they did chop up his body and dispose of it, is all going to be on the word of Saudi Arabia, the people who killed the guy. So this is all sorts of ridiculous. And
apparently, he just killed us all.
I just killed us all.
Yes.
Oh, by what is it from? What does it mean?
It's from the Fist of the North Star, meaning you are already dead.
And Fist of the North Star. Yeah.
And then the person is said to dies, and you said it to all of us, you bastard.
Oh, well, I don't know what to tell you guys. I guess
blame Scribe when you die.
That's why I said it's too late. You're dead already. Don't even worry about it. It doesn't matter anymore because you're already dead.
Well, then this will be the last show of Lords of the Night. So if you would like to donate to my funeral costs,
no, you don't die. You killed us. So the next show
if you would like to donate to my legal costs,
there you go.
You know what?
What's
Maybe that's what they said to the dude when he went into the building.
Yes.
No. Somebody looked at him and said, "Muad'Dib," and he exploded.
Who the hell is buying this story?
Nobody with a brain.
I'm pretty sure nobody is, but people have to still kind of be political about it because they can't just outright be like, "Y'all lying."
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter if somebody buys it or not. What is the consequence to Saudi Arabia? I mean, literally, what is anybody going to do?
That's the real question, I suppose. But the balls of them to put this out is where I'm stuck right now. This one fat dude walks in there, and they had to get into a fight. I saw a fight on a video earlier where a dude got hit in the head with a bowling ball and got up. But you're telling me this one fat guy, and this was a fat guy, but this fat guy got into a fist fight that was so bad, you had to kill him.
Well,
and nobody knows who actually did it.
Well, the reason they think they can get away with this is because they can. I mean, they're an invulnerable monarchy that hold the reins over some of the largest oil deposits on the planet, and no allied nation or any nation that has any power to actually do anything to them will do so because of the strategic importance of where Saudi Arabia is in relation to the rest of the Middle East, the oil reserves, the money involved. I mean, how much debt of the United States does Saudi Arabia own, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's nothing. These guys can act with impunity, which is ridiculous, but it's reality.
Well, you also have to remember the only reason we even are talking about this story is because he was caught on camera.
Yeah, exactly.
If he was not caught on camera in this, they would be denying they ever saw him. He left. Right. Yeah. He left on his own.
Yeah, without that video footage, there wouldn't be a story here. If he hadn't been living in the United States thereafter, there wouldn't be a story here. If he hadn't been working for the Washington Post, there certainly wouldn't be a story here. So all these things combined is the only reason we're even hearing about this. Because a missing journalist in Saudi Arabia, that would have been below the fold, Section A6 at best, without all this other stuff. So anyway, on that happy note, hey, you like caravans?
Not really.
You know what doesn't like caravans?
Trump.
No. A chaotic scene unfolded as a massive caravan of Honduran migrants reached the Guatemala-Mexico border on Friday.
Did you see the video?
Hold on. A surge of migrants broke through a steel fence that had been padlocked shut. Mexican police in riot gear set off smoke canisters and pushed them back. Hundreds of Mexican federal police sealed the border as drones and helicopters hovered above the crowd. Mexican authorities later opened the gates and allowed about 15 women and children through. Thousands of other migrants are still waiting to cross, according to CNN teams at the scene. And the video is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
It looks like something out of like 28 Days Later or something. And it's exactly what people thought would happen. It's not like some peaceful procession on a march for asylum or something. These are violent people trying to break in and break the law and don't give a shit.
You have a super chat there.
Yeah. Thank you, Three-Sided Coin. I come back from the most terrifying week of my life and you kill everyone. Well done, Scribe. That's what I'm here for, I guess. Let's see. At least a dozen migrants stuck on the bridge jumped into the Suchiat, I don't know how to say that, river below. It was unclear if they were trying to swim across to the Mexico side of the border, or go back to Guatemala, or just get relief from the crowds on the bridge. Some of the migrants on the bridge, or trespassers maybe, told CNN they joined the caravan because they were desperate for work and had no other choice. So they're economic migrants, not asylum seekers. Send them back to their home country. Mexican officials have said people seeking asylum will be processed at Mexico's southern border, but it's unclear what will happen next. 4 Mexican police officers were injured in the standoff at the Mexican border. So there was a Mexican standoff.
Mexican standoff, yeah.
Yeah. Speaking to reporters on a tarmac in Mexico City, where he'd been meeting with leaders about the caravan and other matters, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo accused the caravan of using women and children, quote, as shields as they make their way through, unquote. Quote, this is an organized effort to come through and violate the sovereignty of Mexico, Pompeo said. We're prepared to do all that we can to support the decisions that Mexico makes about how they're going to address this very serious and important issue to their country.
Somebody in chat asked for the video. I posted the one that I saw earlier. You guys can check it out. It's insane.
So let's see. Members of the caravan, many with children in tow, gathered at the border city of Tucumán, Guatemala, Friday morning. Excuse me. They waited in sweltering heat for hours for others to arrive, packing streets for blocks on end. Are they still planning on heading to the U.S.? Let's see. Will they reach the U.S. border? Mexican authorities haven't said whether anyone from the caravan will be permitted to travel to the U.S. border. They've previously outlined how they plan to respond to the group, stating, 1, anyone with a valid visa will be able to enter and move freely. 2, anyone who wants to be recognized as a refugee or as a beneficiary of complementary protection measures must do so individually. Those who do so will be held at a migratory station for up to 45 business days. 3, anyone who enters in an irregular manner will be rescued and subject to an administrative procedure and, where appropriate, will be returned to their country of origin in a safe and orderly manner. Yeah, so I guess we're going to have to wait a few days to see if they get through or some do. Good on Mexico for at least trying to stop them.
Yeah.
So I wonder how many people we're going to see on social media and otherwise claiming that Mexico is a racist, horrible place, turning people around for trying to defend their borders.
I don't know. I guess we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised, but I think it'll be more outlandish if and when any of them reach the U.S. border and they encounter military personnel.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting narrative. They're like, you are racist to Mexicans, America, for not letting the Mexicans in. And they are also racist for not letting people in.
Original Streams in the chat. Hope
hey, bud.
You got internet, you got electricity. Hope the newborn as well.
Have they gotten you water yet?
Yeah, have they got you water? Is there a new timetable on when things will be restored? Let us know.
But as for this, I don't think, because we saw that caravan, 6 months ago, and quite a few of them made it to our border.
Yes.
I think part of the negotiations with Mexico, Trump has been like, look, this can't happen again. Because last time they were just like, yeah, come on through. And at least this time it looks like they're trying. So we'll see. Yeah,
there was a lot of conversation in the first incident that sort of put pressure on Mexico to be a bit more stringent about their border policies. But it seems like this time around they got the message ahead of time. So let's see. You guys like Russia?
Sometimes.
Okay.
It depends on what they did.
Russian national charged with attempting to interfere in the 2018 midterms.
I saw Ted Lieu tweeted this out. I didn't read it, but yeah, it's that chick, isn't it?
I don't know. A Russian who allegedly worked on funding online propaganda efforts to manipulate voters in the 2016 and 2018 elections was charged with a federal crime Friday as part of a wider conspiracy to hurt American democracy. Okay. Elena Alexeyevna Kushanyanova, I don't know, 44 of St. Petersburg, Russia, is charged with conspiracy to defraud the United States for managing the financing of the social media troll operation that included the Internet Research Agency, with special counsel Robert Mueller's investigators charged with crimes earlier this year. Okay. Prosecutors who unsealed the complaint Friday say she aided the Russian effort to, quote, inflame passions, unquote, online. That's not very tough to do. Have you ever read Twitter? related to immigration, gun control, and the Second Amendment. The Confederate flag, race relations, LGBT issues, the Women's March, and the NFL national anthem debate from December 2016 until May 2018. Russia didn't need to do anything. The people on both sides of all those arguments have been doing that for months and years, depending on when we're talking about. So
no, Scribe, there's no people on the other side. Those are just trolls. Nobody with a right mind would ever disagree with them. So they have to all be made up.
You're right. Last Jedi was the best movie ever.
They're bots.
Let's see. The social media effort specifically focused on the shootings of church members in Charleston, South Carolina. How long ago was that now?
Quite a while ago.
That was the Dylan Roof, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And concert attendees in Las Vegas, Nevada, the Charlottesville Unite the Right rally, which left one counter-protester dead. Well, you're not going to mention all the people that died in Las Vegas? Okay. And police shootings of African-American men, the complaint says. Okay.
So basically, literally everything that we stand for and openly defend, they are involved in everything, every concentrated effort to fight, to be on the opposite side, where they're directly involved in. That is persistence.
I am curious though about what she did.
Well, I'm just wondering, like, anything they could have done was a drop in the ocean as compared to what just normal Americans on either side of the whatever argument would have done themselves. I don't understand. I mean, okay, if she committed a crime, fine, she committed a crime, but I don't see it as anything more than just a waste of money. Because we Americans have a long history of being pissed off about ridiculous shit all the time. So inflaming passions, you're pushing at an open door at that point.
That's what I'm curious about. I mean, was she like making social media posts about this? And if so, what I don't get what the crime would be. So I'm curious.
In one effort to spread an online news article about the late Senator John McCain's position on a border wall to stop illegal immigration, an alleged conspirator directed others to brand McCain as an old geezer. That is what you're...
That's election tampering?
They also attempted to paint House Speaker Paul Ryan as, quote, a complete and absolute nobody incapable of any decisiveness, and as a two-faced loudmouth.
Okay.
The left does that on their own. What? This means nothing. It means nothing.
This is sounding more and more like the pink tax argument to me. Isn't it? Because basically what they're saying is Americans are so fucking retarded that there's no way that they could orchestrate this on their own. There has to be outside influences. So
they were doing it.
Yeah, in order for this argument to work, they're literally saying that Americans are too dumb to make their own decisions. Somebody else has to be influencing it.
Well, now that this lady's been charged and arrested and everything, then all divisiveness in America will stop.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I have to understand from everything I'm being told about how manipulative and Svengali Russia is in making all of us think a certain way, one way or the other, and that we couldn't come up with these things on our own. So now there will be peace amongst everyone now that the Russian bot program has been indicted and found out. That's what I must have to understand from this.
Mm-hmm. I'm just really wondering what the specific thing is, how they were doing this.
Let's see. The effort had an operating budget of $35 million. Okay. And was allegedly funded by Russian oligarch Yevgeny Prigozhin and his companies. Prigozhin has not responded to a criminal charge he faces from Mueller for funding the scheme before the 2016 election. The online scheme directed its proponents to, quote, effectively aggravate the conflict between minorities and the rest of the population. Have you watched a History Channel show on civil rights in this country? You don't need... Again, the first phrase that comes to mind, you're pushing against an open door. Save your money. Go, I don't know, buy vodka or something more productive than trying to make America pissed off at each other. We do that just fine on our own, thank you.
Well, see, that's the part I don't get. I mean, there's nothing that they've said so far that I haven't read from other people that it had nothing to do with Russians telling them to think that.
The millions of dollars allowed the Russians to buy social media analytics services, secure server space and domain names, and plant online advertisements and to stage political rallies and protests in the U.S. Sometimes the Russians would use fake Americanized names like yeah, you know what? These are the kinds of American names I could assume a Russian would think is a legit American name or like a common thing. Use fake Americanized names like Bertha Malone or Helen Christopherson on Facebook, or handles like @TrumpWithUSA, Swamp Drainer 659, or USA for Trump on Twitter. One Twitter account the group ran, Woke Louisa, amassed 55,000 followers in 1 year, tweeting about Flint, Michigan's drinking water crisis and encouraging voters to register in the 2018 midterm elections. Yes, encouraging people to vote is election tampering, I guess. Okay, I'm done.
I'm still of the I don't understand. Good night, baby. Love you.
Yeah.
I don't understand how this is a crime. I get it. Okay, if you're talking about pouring money into campaigns where they're legally not allowed to do that, I get that.
Campaign rallies and things, sure.
Yeah, if they're tampering with voting machines, I get that. If they're just being assholes, I don't know. Maybe I'm too First Amendment on this one. I don't know. That doesn't seem like the most horrible thing I've ever heard.
Yeah,
but hey, like you said, if it's illegal, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. Tweeting about Flint, Michigan and encouraging people to vote. And how many Twitter accounts of just legitimate people do that on their own?
Yeah.
I don't know. That doesn't make any sense. But still, by like I say, by the theory that's been pushed on us for the last 2 years, now everyone should stop arguing over anything now because the Russians have been taken out of the equation. You know,
I just think it's funny that it's meddling to tell people to vote.
Yeah, that's Russian meddling. Yeah, or that dead John McCain is an old geezer. Like, oh god damn, I guess I'll just have to vote Democrat now, I suppose.
Yeah,
I don't know. And lastly, at least as far as I pulled up, in more political news, which just happened before the stream started, Alaska's independent governor drops his re-election bid.
Oh,
Alaska Governor Bill Walker dropped his re-election bid Friday, 3 days after the sudden resignation of his lieutenant governor over what Walker described as an inappropriate overture toward a woman. Walker's announcement, made at the Alaska Federation of Natives Conference in Anchorage shortly before Walker was to participate in a debate, was met with gasps and cries of no from the audience. Quote, "Alaska first is and cannot be just a campaign slogan," he said. With less than 3 weeks until the election, Walker, an independent, said it became clear he could not win a three-way race against Republican former state Senator Mike Dunleavy and Democratic former U.S. Senator Mark Begich. Alaskans deserve a competitive race, quote, "and Alaskans deserve a choice other than Mike Dunleavy," he said. Dunleavy's campaign was expected to release a statement. Why would he quit over something his lieutenant governor did? Or is that just like a coincidence?
Did I miss the statement that was gasp-worthy?
Just him quitting.
That they're dropping out of the re-election.
Oh, that's okay.
Let's see. Walker, a former Republican and the only independent governor in the country, said Begich's stance on important issues more closely align with his priorities for Alaska. Walker was showered with praise and hugs by conference attendees after his announcement. His campaign was rocked Tuesday by the resignation of Lieutenant Governor Byron Mallett, a Democrat who was replaced by former State Health Commissioner Valerie Davidson. Throughout the campaign, some Democrats and independents worried that Walker and Begich would split the vote, giving the election to Dunleavy. Walker was elected in 2014 with Democratic support. Walker's campaign manager earlier this week said Walker and Begich had been in talks about a path forward for Alaska, but would not elaborate. On Thursday, they both sought to downplay any suggestions of a potential deal ahead of the November 6th election. A Division of Elections spokeswoman said ballots had already been printed. Early voting in the state starts Monday. Mallet, in a resignation letter, apologized for, quote, inappropriate comments I made that placed a person whom I respect and revere in a position of vulnerability, unquote. Interesting way to put it. I like your ass. I get no, but that's not what he said. I'm just thinking, like, what would you say? Like, well, that's a very fancy way of saying I told a woman she had a nice ass or something. Yeah. Walker spokesman Austin Baird said the incident that led to Mallet's resignation happened Sunday. Oh, so just this last Sunday he did something and then he resigned the next day. Okay,
must have been bad.
He must have been really bad. Let's see. No other details have been given. Okay, so this was not about the guy resigning over the whatever he did with the woman. It's about, strategically speaking, he didn't want the governorship to go to somebody he didn't want, and so he dropped out rather than risk splitting the vote. Even though the ballots have already been printed.
He was going to lose either way, and rather than split the vote, he's hoping to help the candidate he'd prefer to win.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it sounds.
Well,
welcome to politics, guys.
Yeah. So that's all the news I had. Did you guys have anything?
I have one that I want to read real quick. And this is a reminder to people, and I don't think our audience is like this, but there are people out there who need to understand this happens. Man arrested for threatening Kavanaugh supporting senators. A Long Island man was busted for making death threats against GOP U.S. Senators Chuck Grassley and Susan Collins for their support of then Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh, the Post has learned. Ronald DeRisi, 74, was taken 74. Did you catch that? Was taken into custody early Friday and is expected to be arraigned later the day in Central Islip Federal Court before Magistrate Judge Gary R. Brown. I just want to read you what he sent messages to their offices, and in one, he said that he had a present for Iowa's Grassley, growling, "It's a 9mm. Side of your fucking skull, you scumbag motherfucker." Where's the other one? Anyway, guys, if you make threats against people holding, here it is. Here's the long one. This was also to Grassley. Okay. We're tired of this guy sucking taxpayer money, getting a free fucking ride. How many more years are you going to do it? None. He's a dead man, 9mm, side of the fucking head. If fucking Kavanaugh gets in, he's dead fucking meat. Actually, if Kavanaugh doesn't get in, he's dead fucking meat. 9mm to the side of the head, you fucking old bastard. And yeah, he's going to end up in jail for a while for that guy. So if you are ever mad at a politician, don't threaten them.
Unless you go to and visit them at a restaurant.
Oh my God. With social media these days, so many people seem, willing to make threatening overtures towards public officials. Don't do it. The government does not take that kindly.
Thank you, Twat Waffle. A Russian encouraging Americans to vote for a candidate is interference. Should a Californian shilling for Beto in Texas be charged for the same? Yeah, I mean, 6 of one thing, half a dozen of the other on a lot of these things.
Depends on the state laws. I get your point, absolutely, but there are state laws where they're not allowed to take money from outside states. So
sure, yeah, there are laws, but but going somewhere and speaking, that's not disallowed.
Lindsay says, wow, someone has issues with their sanity. The problem with this is there's so many people these days who aren't insane. They're just trying to be edgy, or they're really pissed off, and they go to the internet and say shit like this. We had who was it? Rosie O'Donnell, who called for the fucking military coup yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
God damn, don't threaten officials. It's one, you shouldn't be that mad about politics, for fuck's sake.
Well, it's being encouraged, the Maxine Waters type stuff. I mean, there are public officials and public personalities who are actively encouraging people to take drastic public action or say statements because they're being told that the democracy is falling apart and their freedoms are being taken away and yada yada. I mean, it's almost the reverse of they're coming for your guns. Now they're coming for your democracy, and people are acting just as nuts under the belief that that's actually true, same as gun nuts do when they're told their guns are going to be taken away from them.
I just drew an interesting connection.
Oh, go ahead. Hi, Bear.
Is it strange to hear people who are arguing right now for illegal immigrants to be able to vote, bitching about people outside of the country influencing what's going on here?
Yeah, it's kind of amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
That just, like, I for some reason, they just hit me out of nowhere. I'm like, wait a minute. We're talking about the migrant crisis right now and people who don't live here, who are not actual citizens, and they're literally fighting for their rights to vote, their right that they don't have to vote and actually influence things that are going on. Yep. But simultaneously bitching about people from the outside posting on social media, like sideways influencing it.
Mm-hmm.
That is fascinating.
Let's see. You guys got anything else?
Oh, there's an update, a breaking update. At least 30 human remains of babies found or have been removed from a second funeral home in Detroit. We just covered that one the other day.
Oh, was it owned by the same people?
I don't know. There's no actual story link anywhere. It's just listed as breaking news. So apparently that's where they keep babies in Detroit.
Okay. Well then, guys, we're going to move on to MSS News. If you have news stories you'd like us to read on the air, please send them to us via Twitter using the hashtag MSS News. Can't promise to get to them all, but that's just because you guys send us so many stories. It's literally impossible to get through them all. But I'll hit upon as many as I can. Let's see. This one comes from Emperor W.R. Costin. Workers tied up in armed attack on legal Ontario pot grow-op. Okay. 4 workers were tied up and several items were taken in an armed attack on a legal marijuana grow-op near Beaverton, Ontario early Thursday morning. Durham Regional Police say that at approximately 6 a.m. Eastern Time, 5 men carrying guns approached a small group of workers who were tending to the operation in the lakeside community some 80 kilometers northeast of Toronto. 4 workers were forced into a security trailer and tied up. Their personal belongings were taken, and the assailants took, quote, several garbage bags full of dried marijuana from a storage barn. They also stole one of the workers' personal vehicles, which was later found parked a distance away, police said. One suspect is described as 40 to 45 years old, white male with a French accent and gray short hair. Okay. Well, that sucks, especially in a country that just legalized pot.
Yeah, no doubt. That's a weird story coming right on the heels of that.
Yeah. Let's see. What else we got? No. Okay, this one comes from Frosted Glass. And, it's a Vox.com story. Oh, boy. How one woman, and only one woman, remember, only one woman ever does this. How one woman is trying to end period stigma and the tampon tax.
Oh, God.
Nadia Okamoto's new book, Period Power, encourages advocacy for a very normal bodily function. Nadia Okamoto is not afraid to talk about periods. In fact, she is so adamant that other people not be afraid to talk about them that she named her not-for-profit organization Period in all capital letters. That's good. That's smart. Who gives a shit? She launched it in 2014 when she was 16 years old. Its mission is to provide period products for those in need, advocate for the repeal of sales tax on tampons and pads, the so-called tampon tax, and educate people about menstruation. There are 230 local high schools and college chapters, and the organization has donated more than 380,000 period packs to people who cannot afford products. Tampax, Kotex, Diva Cup, and several other companies work with Period to organize donations. I have no problem with them doing any of that. I don't care. Go ahead.
I have no problem with getting donations to help, do whatever. We don't need to raise awareness of periods. Nobody's running around. We need to raise pissing is perfectly natural. We need to talk about it. No, we don't. Bodily functions are not always something we have to fucking discuss. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mashisu. Scribe, did you see the video of Nancy Pelosi being harassed by a bunch of anti-communists? I saw a posting about it. I didn't actually see the video, no.
I watched the video, and the people who were there were acting like cunts. They should be ashamed of themselves.
Imagine that.
For the period thing, I'm getting so tired of this. It's some women's empowerment thing because we have to talk about it because it's a bodily fun. No, we don't. Yes, it's perfectly natural, but so are a whole bunch of other gross things our fucking bodies do. Stop it.
Let's see. This one comes from Massive Dynamics. 2 GOP candidates assaulted in Minnesota. Okay. The Minnesota Democratic Party has suspended a spokesman for calling for violence against Republicans, even as 2 GOP candidates have been assaulted in suspected politically motivated attacks. The Democratic Farmer Labor Party has suspended communications staffer William Davis for 1 week without pay. Oh boy. After making a Facebook post joking that Democrats would, quote, bring Republicans to the guillotine on November 7th, the day after the midterm elections. It's hyperbole. It's not a threat, whatever.
That does sound like more of a figure of speech, but I'm glad this is getting attention at least.
Sure. Minnesota Republican Party Chairman Jennifer Carnahan said the suspension was not enough, calling for his immediate firing in the aftermath of separate attacks against Republican candidates. She said she has been subjected to numerous death threats during her tenure as the state party leader, and that death threats are no laughing matter. Well, tell us about the attacks. The suspension came days after Minnesota State Representative Sarah Anderson was punched in the arm after spotting a man destroying Republican yard signs. She said the attack left her scared, and her attacker only desisted when she fled to her car and threw it in reverse. Quote, it was just insane. He was charging at me saying, why don't you go kill yourself? To have someone physically coming after you and attacking you is just disheartening. Anderson was not the only GOP candidate attacked. First-time state representative candidate Shane Meekland suffered a concussion after getting sucker punched while speaking with constituents at a restaurant in Benton County. Meekland told the Free Beacon he has suffered memory loss, forgetting Representative Anderson's name at one point in the interview, and doctors tell him he will have a 4 to 6 week recovery time ahead of him. He said he was cold-cocked while sitting at a high-top table at a local eatery and hit his head on the floor. Quote, I was so overtaken by surprise and shock, and if this is the new norm, this is not what I signed up for, he said. Yikes. Yeah, so thank you, Dark Shade. What's more pathetic? Period, race, sexuality, pride. What? I don't quite know how to read
period,
that.
Pride, race, pride, sexuality, pride. Which one's more pathetic? Your period, pride, race pride, or sex pride? I would say they're all moronic.
They're all, I mean, they're all equally stupid because pride in something that you've nothing, it's not an accomplishment. You know, having a period is not an accomplishment. Your skin color isn't something that you won through effort. Neither is your sexuality. It's just whatever. Let's see. I already talked about one from there. Okay, this one comes from the Tartanist, or previously the Angry Introvert. Halloween billboard hijacked to target Maxine Waters.
Hi, Squish.
Does Squishy want to join the show?
No, she made some coffee and she's telling me how awesome it is.
Oh. Sabo, a conservative street artist, replaced a photo of killer Michael Myers with one of the Congresswoman. A billboard advertising the new Halloween movie opening Friday was altered after a street artist swapped out an image of serial killer Michael Myers and replaced it with one of Maxine Waters. The gigantic billboard at Pico Boulevard in West Hollywood remains intact. Only the Congresswoman is now holding the sharp butcher knife in her right hand, looking ready to plunge it into an unsuspecting victim. The
sounds
phrase...
fitting.
Sorry?
I said sounds fitting.
Yeah. The phrase hashtag uncivil Democrats has also been added. Let's see. Sabo tells the Hollywood Reporter that the text he added to the advertisement is a reference to Waters telling a crowd in June to make things uncomfortable for President Donald Trump and his cabinet members. Yeah, and then they quote her about her telling people to go after her when they are in restaurants or in public places or whatever.
You know, as much as she got for that, and she deserves a lot of negative attention for that. Hillary hasn't gotten near enough for her. There's no way to be civil to people who disagree, because that is as bad. Frank, there's no way that you can have any civil discourse with people that you disagree with, is what she was saying.
Yeah, ethically, it's as bad. Soundbite wise, it's not nearly as provocative. That's why. And she's Hillary, so. Okay, this one comes from Mashisu, and there's no story, there's just a headline. So I'm going to read the headline, and I think that says more than enough. Dog raped by twisted couple is put down after they used a hormone spray to get it aroused.
I saw the title on that one.
Yeah. Bubba the dog was abused by the twisted couple at their homemade sex chamber.
And he got put down.
Yeah.
I think we got that one backwards, y'all.
Ugh. Okay, moving on. Let's see if I can find something that's at least happy-ish before we get close to the end here. Oh, here we go. This comes. Both the Griffin and the Lion Patriot sent this. I think specifically targeting me, but I could be wrong. As soon as, wait, now it's playing a video. No, stop. Okay, what the fuck? The video filled my entire screen. I couldn't even see a search bar. I had to scroll down to find it. Okay, CBS 21, wherever the hell you are, your website sucks. Anyway, the headline is, oldest working man in Texas turns 101, still drinks 2 Dr. Peppers a day. That's what I'm talking about. This guy is an American hero.
Apparently you missed a super chat. Yes, you did. It's back above mashes.
Oh, the $2 one. Sorry, Circus. Satsu's Magnificent Butt, Monkey 2017. Yeah.
That is something he said.
It's true.
Well, you do have a magnificent butt. And thank you, Nuts, for pointing that out.
Yeah, sorry, Circus. They don't give me any notification of the $2 thing, and if I've got the other thing open, I can't see it. Thank you, Ebony. How much for Scribe to fight Chris at CNN? I don't want to fight Chris Cillizza. No, let me just make it clear. I take exception to Chris Cillizza's quote-unquote reporting skills and his grammar skills and his spelling skills and his logic on some things. But I don't have any animosity towards the guy unless I'm reading something he's written. That's all. So, it's one of those things where it's just like, I'm sure Chris Cillizza is a nice guy. Somehow. Let's see. Considered the oldest man still working in Texas, Chester Hollingsworth celebrated his 101st birthday today. Today is my birthday, October the 18th, 1917, he said with a smile. World War II veteran, Dallas entrepreneur, and beloved friend and family man received a special birthday message from his company. Hollingsworth helped start what is now known as the Warehouse Superstore. He tried retiring twice before, but kept coming back and now spends 2 days a week working there. Quote, I just like to be with people. I don't mind working, said Hollingsworth affectionately. Born and raised on a farm near Greenville, Hollingsworth helped his family raise cotton. Quote, we had a Model T Ford, and it was a terrible way to get around. As a young man, Hollingsworth went on to sign up for the Navy a day after Pearl Harbor was attacked. He eventually wound up out west. Quote, about a month later, I got a notice in the mail with a train ticket to go to San Diego, California. Hollingsworth has had a storied life, no doubt, and he said the secret for him is a simple one. Dr. Pepper, he laughed. That's right. Hollingsworth drinks a Dr. Pepper twice a day. That there is an American hero, left, right, and center.
That's nasty.
Let's see. Moving on. We'll do a couple more here before we
An inspiring story about a disgusting drink.
You don't know what you're talking about. Let's see. This one comes from senior staff reporter Jack the motherfucking Cockring. Police office. This is going to play a video in front of you, isn't it? Shut up. Police officers searching for missing child find note shaming them for parking in space reserved for parents.
Jesus.
Police officers were left shocked after returning to find a bizarre note left on the windshield of their patrol car. While addressing a call about a lost child, officers from the Plymouth Central and University Policing Team in the UK parked in a supermarket lot space reserved for parents. But a person who witnessed them snapping up the spot became furious and left an angry note on the windshield that read, "Nice child in your car, Mr. Policeman. Guilty."
Wow.
Let's see. Quote, "The officer was dealing with 2 immediate job logs," the tweet read from the police. "A vulnerable child was missing from home and a male that had fallen and sustained a head injury. The officer parked in the first space available. Most people slammed the mysterious note writer on Twitter and threw their support behind the officers. Blah, 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 blah. Nobody was hurt. Okay, somebody's a jerk on the internet." The end. One more before we move on here. Let me see if I can find something that's maybe uplifting. I don't know.
The caucasity of those people.
Okay, we'll do this. Let's end on something funny. This one comes from the Reaper. Elizabeth Warren tries once again to explain her claim to be Native American, and it's hilarious. Senator Elizabeth Warren, who claimed to be a Native American when her DNA study showed she has as little as 0.09% Indian blood, is still trying to explain away her assertion. Warren, a Massachusetts Democrat running for re-election who President Donald Trump has dubbed Pocahontas for her claim, released the results of the DNA test on Sunday, with about 3 weeks to go before Election Day, in an attempt to, quote, "begin deflecting the constant taunting from the president and her Senate challengers," the Boston Globe reported. Quote, "I have an election," Warren said. "Donald Trump goes in front of crowds multiple times a week to attack me. Both of my opponents have made the same attack. I got this analysis back, and I made it public. And you were moronic to do so." The move turned out to be a PR disaster. While the mainstream media happily went along with the notion that 1024th heritage actually makes someone Native American, many mocked Warren for the bizarre claim. Trump himself joined in, writing on Twitter, quote, "Now that her claims of being of Indian heritage have turned out to be a scam and a lie, Elizabeth Warren should apologize for perpetrating this fraud against the American public. Harvard called her a person of color, amazing con, and would not have taken her otherwise." And now Warren says she regrets how she rolled out the DNA report, but stopped well short of apologizing. Quote, "There's a distinction between citizenship and ancestry. I wish I had been more mindful of that distinction," she told the Globe. "The tribes and only the tribes determine citizenship. It's their right as a matter of sovereignty, and they exercise that in the ways they choose to exercise it. I respect that distinction." Tell us about your mother. Is your mother a citizen of the tribe?
She's so Cherokee, her grandparents didn't like her.
Yeah, ask whether she made a mistake when she began identifying herself as Native American 30 years ago. Warren once again said she's not really claiming to be part of any Indian group.
Really?
Yeah, fuck.
That is literally what you're doing.
Quote, "The distinction is, I'm not a citizen, never have claimed to be, and I wish I had been more mindful of that 30 years ago," Warren said. "I wish I had been clearer about that. Been more mindful is the word."
Yeah, you're not a citizen. You're just a part of that group.
Yeah, I'm not a citizen of the Cherokee Nation. I'm just Cherokee. Okay, I'm not a citizen of Mexico, but I am Mexican. No, that doesn't work. Sorry. That doesn't quite work. So anyway, we'll leave on that because there you go.
Peter asked, didn't she say she was Cherokee? Yes, but she didn't claim to be part of the Cherokee tribe is what she's saying.
Right, because there's a distinction there.
Right.
Yeah, she's
somehow.
I'm not a part of their tribe or community, but I do share all of their struggle.
Yeah, I'm a Texan. I don't live in Texas. I have nothing to do with Texas, but I'm a Texan because I say so.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much for all the stories. I know I didn't get to all of them, but you guys sent us so many. There's just no way. So appreciate it.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, and Monkey, given that he does like 2 streams a day now, he could always lean on this a little bit for his streams and take up some of the slack.
Well, I try to do it after we do it. So like tomorrow, if I need a story, I'll go in and look at the ones that were here tonight so that I don't end up covering. Like yesterday, I happened to find an article that we ended up doing, and you were like, why are we covering this? I try not to do that.
So Monkey takes our sloppy seconds. Got it.
I do indeed. You can ask these guys. They hear the same thing twice.
Is it called the Monkey Leftover Hour?
I should call it that. The Monkey Sloppy Seconds.
Monkey's Table Scraps.
Oh, that's not bad.
Well, I know because I said it. It's not great, but it's not bad.
You're good at titles. You really are.
Mediocre. All right. So YouTube time. Satsu, what have you been up to?
Well, I planned on doing a stream today because people have been asking me about this anime called Goblin Slayer. And I forgot Squishy was off, so I was like, fuck, I can't do it today. So I just kind of put some notes together or whatever and planned for it to be on the day that she's working. I watched the first 2 episodes, and holy shit, this show is graphic as fuck. Now, the kind of outrage that's been going on about it or whatever, it's not nearly as bad as some other shows I've seen, and everybody's talking about this Goblin Slayer is like a new revolution and anime gore or something. I'm like, no, not quite. It's pretty fucked up, but I've seen worse, unfortunately. And people have been going back and forth about it. Should this be a thing? Whatever. Basically, there's some sexual assault like stuff going on in there. The goblins or whatever in this anime are about as close to goblins as I've ever seen. Like a depiction of like the way goblins probably would behave. They are savage. They don't give a fuck, and they do some really fucked up shit. And the show is not shy about showing it. And people are upset, but I wanted to talk about it because I thought it was interesting. I didn't watch the manga though, so I can't really compare the two, but be looking out for that stream coming up soon. Other than that, nothing else too major.
Thank you, Dark Shade. Sloppy Seconds Simeon. I like Monkey's Table Scraps, but then I made it up, so I'm
well, yeah, Irate Bear, I know what you, yeah, you know what I mean. I was trying to, yeah, but anyway.
Monkey, what have you been up to?
Well, I did my stream this morning. What was I raging about on that one? Oh, the story we talked about last night with the chick who says that misandry, was that the one I did? I think so. The misandry chick, and how fuck, I can't remember. Just go watch it, guys. And I was gonna work on my video, but I spent this is the first I've been out of bed today, so except for that stream. So I got nothing else done. I want to finish that video because I have so much to say in it. I haven't told you guys what that video is about. You guys remember the chick who called the cop on the little black kid because his backpack touched her ass?
Yep.
Yeah.
Coming on the heels of Kavanaugh, I find that to be a really strange story because it's been presented as, oh, another white chick calls the police on a little black kid. But if that surveillance video wasn't there, shouldn't we believe her, and shouldn't we be teaching that child not to rape?
Yes.
Oh, I brought that, dude. I brought that exact same thing. I was saying the same. When I posted on Facebook and Twitter, I said, holy shit, the believe all women narrative fell apart the moment they heard this story. The moment they heard this story that she was a white woman and the kid was a black kid, that believe women shit went right the fuck out the window.
And it shouldn't have if that's what they actually believe.
Well, it's obviously not what they believe. And some people's argument was like, well, but it's ridiculous. It was a 9-year-old kid. There's no way that a 9-year-old kid would ever do anything bad.
But that's the thing. We're told that we have to teach boys not to rape. So if he had grabbed her ass or we didn't have the video, what we should have been doing from the start, when the video first went viral of her calling the police on him, we hadn't seen the surveillance footage yet. That came out a couple hours later.
And people were already calling her a liar.
Yes, and what they should have done is been supporting her and going, look, little boy, you need to stop raping. Raping is bad. They should have sat him down. And it's just amazing to me how quickly that turned and how they don't see the problems with what they're preaching with the believe women thing. Because and I don't like to bring up Emmett Till because that is such a horrific case. But it's basically the same thing here. A white woman blaming a black kid for something he didn't do. And again, without that footage, who would you believe? Well, we're supposed to just condemn the boy. And so that's what it's working on there. Like I said, I have so much to say on this one. I find the whole believe women thing to be so fucking moronic. So guys, when I can, I will get that one finished.
All right.
That's all.
I started poking at something today. It's a video about body positivity and telling me, like, you know, why girls at any weight, etc. But also how hairy armpits are totes cool, on women. This is a wide-ranging video so far as I can tell, between weight and like having fur under your arms as a female. And I was like, yeah, women can grow hair under their arms. It's true, and there's no law that says you can't. The notion that it is somehow empowering, well, I guess that's to each individual. The notion that it's somehow attractive, that is definitely up to each individual. And most guys are, most guys have to look at their own body hair enough. I like my women feminine, and feminine is not looking hairy and testosterone laden, even if it is natural. So, call me a misogynist, I suppose, if you want.
I've never understood how it's empowering. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. Like you said, there's no law against it.
No.
But I don't see how it's empowering any more than, talking about your period is.
Well, I guess the money you save on buying razors and shaving cream gives you more money and therefore more economic power.
That's the best argument I've heard so far.
It's empowering in the same way that a lot of this other pointless shit is empowering. Like I said, in the age of people who are good at nothing and accomplish nothing ever, like the most mundane and pointless thing that literally benefits or changes nothing, it can be empowering to people who are worthless. That's just.
I mean, women being empowered by not shaving their armpits is basically like me being empowered by not picking up my underwear off the floor. It's just it's the empowerment of laziness, I suppose, or something. Although women aren't required to shave their armpits, obviously. If you want my attention, it's at least one of the several prerequisites. But hey,
well, that's the thing. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. But people are fine to find it disgusting. I mean,
yeah. The other thing was that the main speaker of this video starts out by saying, women should be seen and not heard is something we finally gotten past. And I'm like, then why are you a model?
Well played.
The guy's like, you're a body positivity model. Well, your entire career is being seen. You're not paid to speak, at least not by most people. So anyway, Sarah Plyer's got to go to work. Bye, Sarah.
Hey, Sarah.
So yeah, I'm picking away at that. I'm still trying to claw my way out of this pit of lack of inspiration the last week or two. And I'm also, I've been working on the fan fiction story for Two Girls, One Stream. I've just about got the first draft done, and then I'll be revising it. And I'm still thinking about doing a solo reading of said story to post on my channel Halloween night, in case anybody's interested. But we'll see. I'm still working out how I'm going to do that. Other than that, internet fucketry time. I'm sure Monkey will bring up anything I would have to say, but Satsu, do you have anything?
No, not really. Like I said, I haven't really been getting too much in the stuff, and I've been planning ahead for some stuff I'm doing for 2 cents plus. So,
okay. So, Monkey, do you have anything?
I told you guys before the show, most of what I've been finding lately isn't, the normal stuff that I'd talk about here, where I'd, fuck with somebody who said something really stupid online. Most of it has actually been articles where I'm just like, what the hell are you talking about? I do have, let's do this one first. Best Kolb, I don't know who the fuck she is. She writes for TV and award shows, and her novel is being published. Ooh. She tweeted this out today. I love you, at Hillary Clinton. Thank you for inspiring me to even exist.
You should. So Hillary Clinton went back in time and like put your mom and dad together physically.
Got him in the mood, apparently.
Yeah, Hillary
Thank
Clinton.
you for inspiring me to even exist. Okay, you guys are.
Or maybe Hillary inspired her not to kill herself.
Maybe. But that's not how I read it. I read it the way you took it originally. Like, so she inspired your parents to fuck, which is weird because she's never been attractive, y'all.
No.
She's not like one of those women where you look back and like Betty White, man. You look at her in the day and like, I'd have tapped that. Hillary has always looked like an old cripple woman. In other news, you guys remember the abortion chick from yesterday? Tweeted out her picture of that she was about to have an abortion.
Yep, and then the ghost baby in her stomach when she was hungry.
Today she tweeted out, "Donate to my PayPal if you want me to keep the baby."
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Did these things happen out of order or something?
Nope. She tweeted yesterday the abortion, and then today the if you want me to keep the baby. Apparently, she got a take-home box.
No.
I feel like
Chicken tonight.
Jesus.
Oh, whoops. Sorry.
Oh my God.
Well, it was the door opened. I walked through it. Sorry. Proceed.
Oh my God. No, I feel like I've heard something similar to this before.
It's an attention ploy. She got a lot of attention for a tweet yesterday, and this gives people, oh, look how funny she's being about abortion. I'll throw her some money. Check Your Logic asked, didn't you once say you'd smash young Hillary Clinton? I did not. I said I would smash Hillary Clinton, especially when she was first lady, because, I mean, that's a woman with a lot of power.
I don't know. This might be an unpopular opinion, but I don't think young Hillary looked too bad.
She was not pretty.
I don't know. Well, I wouldn't say she was like gorgeous. She just wasn't ugly to me.
Definitely right. She wasn't gorgeous. That is
yeah.
Statement right there.
I didn't look at it because like I see her now and I'm like, ugh. And I saw a like younger picture of her. I'm like, oh, okay. She looks like a person at least. But people are like, oh, she's so ugly. I'm like, not really, but whatever.
Yeah, really.
I don't think so.
Can we talk about Jim Acosta?
Sure.
Did you guys hear the controversy with him?
I think so. I saw the name.
Yeah, the whole fuck off thing and how that started. Jim Acosta, here's his original tweet that started all this. It says, tonight, the Trump campaign White House turned up the music so loud the press risers were vibrating. Nearly impossible to do live TV. I suppose the White House loves those kind of shenanigans, but I wonder if it's a security concern for the U.S. Secret Service or local law enforcement. They can't hear either. Do you think that's really what he was worried about? Here's how loud the technicians at the Trump rally in Montana were playing the music after the event. They turned it up right before our live shot with CNN Tonight. He was complaining because he couldn't get good live coverage. They weren't able to do a live from the rally report because everything was too loud in there. And there was a back and forth with him and somebody who used to work for the White House, where the guy from the White House called him a crybaby. And he DM'd the guy telling him, fuck you. And then he blocked the guy. And then he comes back to say, oh, I thought you were somebody I used to be friends with.
Wasn't he Wasn't he? Wait, he's with CNN, right?
Yes, he's their White House correspondent.
Yeah, there was a clip of him like bitching on the news. He was like sitting at the table and complaining and talk about, I wouldn't say or call us fake news or say that we're enemies of the people, and maybe we should make some pins and some banners and go out and tell people, that we stand for reporters and we're not fake news. And I'm like, or you could stop being fake news.
Yeah, stop. Stop going after people who make memes about you. Oh yeah, he said that is what it was. Thank you, Nuts. The response to his original tweet was the guy just tweeted "Dear Diary," and that's what Acosta tweeted. Fuck you too. Jim's losing his mind slowly. He sees enemies everywhere.
Oh yeah.
And do I think the Trump campaign was fucking with reporters? Probably. You still could have done your shot afterwards, to film it and then do it after the rally's over. You don't have to be a whiny ass baby all the time, Jim. You're a grown ass man.
Well, chronologically speaking.
Yeah. I saw somebody, what did they tweet out? Jim Acosta Jim Acosta and CNN thinks everything the White House does is an affront to the press.
Mm-hmm.
And they really do. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, like if Trump is walking to or talking with kids during the Easter egg roll,
mm-hmm.
if they don't stop to answer Jim's questions, they're just ignoring the press. We know there's an adversarial relationship there that Trump revels in, but I really do think Jim is starting to lose it. I think it might be time to pull him and put somebody else in there because, man, that dude, yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna. Any more? Or?
I think there was one more. Looking for that tweet. Oh wait, hang on. No, there's actually a story I wanted to talk about if we have a little deep topic time.
Well, I had something to bring up, so make it quick.
This actually came from Bloomberg, which surprised me. It's a article called "The Right Finds the Perfect Weapon Against the Left." Conservatives are using identity politics to destroy liberalism from within. And they spotlight the Elizabeth Warren case where, she's the one who made her being a Cherokee part of her public persona.
Mm-hmm.
And the identity about that is what Trump attacked. It's like, well, this is your identity, and it's not true. But the article goes on to point out that something like 80% of Americans don't like political correctness.
Oh yeah.
And it's 61% of self-professed liberals don't like it. Latino and Asian Americans are among the groups most opposed to it. So all the Republicans have to do anytime any identity shit comes up is start talking about that. And it's not something that really hit me because I have been watching and I've been surprised by how little policy the Democrats have talked since Obama's second election. I think he was the last one to really do it. Hillary certainly didn't do any of it during any of her stuff. It was all about the identity stuff. And I've said before, Trump was the first politician to first stand up to the political correct onslaught when it came at him. He just like, fuck y'all, I don't care. And it worked out really well for him. And this article, I think they're right on in the idea that as long as the left keeps talking about identitarian bullshit, they're going to keep losing because they're going to lose that game. For one thing, it turns them into giant hypocrites more often than not.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I definitely 100% agree because I've been saying this for a really long time that hypocrisy is the foundation that they've built their ideology and their tactics on. And the fact that there's so much infighting and so many of them have to prostrate themselves to the group to apologize for things. It's easy for them to turn against themselves. So if you use their same tactics like against them, it's so fucking easy. It's extremely easy, which is I was actually planning on doing a video that was kind of close to this where I was going to come up with like strategies. If you're tired of your fucking liberal friends, this is a good way to fucking shut them down every chance you get. So if you have a feminist friend who's always talking about women being objectified and all that shit like that, anytime you hear her utter a word about a man's appearance in any way, like make a big fucking deal about it. Like, and don't let her blow it off either. Like, be completely asinine about it. And I'm telling you, man, it is the number one way to defeat them. Use their own shit against them, because they're all hypocrites and they all don't actually believe in this shit. And most of them engage daily in the stuff that they bitch about.
No, a lot of them believe it.
Well, I mean, but they're still, even if they believe it, they still unconsciously do the same shit. They just don't talk about it.
But you can't approach them as they're all liars. They may be hypocritical, they may be contradictory, but you can't necessarily say that they're all intentionally being deceptive. They might be lying to themselves. But
I think that's true. Lying to themselves.
Yeah.
Well, even if they're not, it's still good, because at the very least, at the end of the day, you'll make them feel like shit.
Well, I don't want to make anybody feel like shit. I don't think it's a weapon the conservatives are using against liberals. I think it's it doesn't matter whether it's liberals or conservatives. If you're using identity politics, period, you're self-defeatist. You don't need anyone else to come in and use it against you or something. It's just that, I mean, if they decide to fuel it, if they decide to like stoke the fires and make them, on whichever side we're talking about, look more ridiculous than they already do, sure. But as soon as you start whittling everything down to skin color, race, gender, whatever, you've already lost the argument before you started, basically.
Yeah. Well, that was the last, because I did talk to you guys about this, and I'll try to be very fast. Well, yesterday I posted the teach women not to rape thing, and somebody got very upset with me about that. I'm trying to find the exact one here. Come on. He responded to it with, "Can we stop with the spiteful comments digging at the opposition? Like, dude, a kid got taken advantage of. This isn't a time to dog whistle aunties with inside jokes about the left." It's not dog whistling aunties. It's pointing out a huge hypocrisy that we see in the rape culture debate. And, is there a rape culture? Well, then why aren't you worried about young boys being raped by their teachers? And I think it is. It's I think you're right, Scribe. I think most of them think they believe what they're saying, but they don't take the time to even pay attention to where their own contradictions lie.
Sure.
And I think that's what trips them up. And I think that's why they end up fighting over why it's so easy for Donald Trump to get them fighting over Elizabeth Warren's heritage rather than talking about, whatever policy they actually believe in. So,
well, I mean, Elizabeth Warren did that to herself. Again, once she starts, see, Donald Trump didn't need to do anything to get Elizabeth Warren in trouble for releasing her DNA stuff. She did that of her own volition. I'd rather give her all the credit for making her own decisions than saying somehow Trump, manipulated her into doing it. She shot herself in the foot.
I wouldn't say Trump manipulated her to do it, but Trump took her already existing flame and fanned the fuck out of it.
Sure. And she decided to try to respond in the only way that she could, and we saw the result. Anyway, guys, I really want to move on.
Sure.
I got something I've been planning on doing for a little while now. This is a half us and then half. I want this to bleed over into chat time. Okay. So I have a challenge. This is a challenge I brought up just about every year around Halloween time to people. I've only had one feasible response to the challenge. And I won't give away what it was because that would be cheating. But I want you to imagine for a moment that you have to create a plot for a horror movie. But there are 3 restrictions to this plot for this horror movie. So now, guys, in chat, I'm going to give this to Monkey and Satsu to game out between them. And if you have any ideas of your own, hold them until chat time at the bottom of the hour, and then we'll go over them as it comes. So this will give you some time to think about it and see what Satsu and Monkey might come up with. So this is for you and Satsu to debate with each other. I want you to come up with a horror movie plot line, but this plot line cannot rely on these 3 elements: darkness, isolation from society or things like that, and the supernatural. So the story cannot involve the supernatural. It cannot inherently rely upon like nighttime or darkness or that kind of thing. And it cannot be the remote cabin in the woods scenario. You can't use isolating your main characters from society or the rest of everybody else. So a horror movie plot with those restrictions.
Oh.
So no darkness, no isolation, and what was the other?
No supernatural. Nothing
No
supernatural.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, what immediately comes to mind, it was a movie that I saw, but I didn't see it. I saw the ads for it. The people locked in the office building and they have to kill each other to get out.
That's isolation.
No, because you still have all those people.
No, you're isolated from the rest of the world. You're locked away. It's like, I mean, like your protagonists cannot be restricted from movement in the rest of the world. They can't be locked away somewhere. They're not. It's like Cube. You ever see Cube? There's like 10 people, 10 little Indians kind of thing. Yeah, but they're isolated from any kind of escape, any kind of help. They're basically rats in a maze. You can't have the rats in the maze thing. You can't isolate them from the rest of the world.
Does isolation in their own head count?
But pitch the idea. I don't know. What do you mean?
Because I was thinking about a person who all right, now this is something I actually thought about. So basically the person, every time this person falls asleep, they wakes up as somebody who's about to die the next day.
That would be supernatural.
That's supernatural.
Is it supernatural though?
Well, I mean, if the whole thing is a dream, I guess you could say it's not supernatural. It could be like a delusion or something. So yeah, if you had a purely on the psychological plane horror movie, then I suppose so. But that almost seems like a cheat around the restrictions because it's like none of it's actually happening. So yeah, I mean, okay, that is one avenue, sure. But I was hoping for like something a little more, on the temporal plane for the most part.
All right.
Not saying you can't have a psychological element, but if it's all taking place in somebody's head, then you've got a movie like Identity, no pun intended with the previous talk, where the entire movie takes place inside of somebody's head and there's nothing really actually is happening.
Okay, give me a moment.
I mean, you could your protagonist, your antagonist, whoever. There might be psychological aspects to whatever's going on with them, sure, but just making it a dreamscape is kind of cheating around it.
It's too restricted for me to come up with anything because when it comes to horror, what works is darkness because everybody has an innate fear of the dark.
Sure.
If you can't go there, it has to be some restriction on them that puts them in danger. And if it's not a movement, if there's no way to restrict their movement and they can just leave at any time, I just don't see how you do it.
Well, it depends on how you come about the notion of horror, I guess. Again, I don't necessarily have an answer to this. I've been given at least one plausible scenario in the past that worked a lot. But that's the whole challenge of it, is because so much horror, or in horror movies especially, rely on one or more of these three elements in order to create the atmosphere or to create the horror element of it. And I'm just I'm always searching for ideas just for fun on how to do it without those things.
Yeah, it's a little tough, and it's hard to do something like that without being like cheesy either.
Well, I mean, like I said, I don't necessarily say there is an answer to it here and now, but I'm just curious if you guys had any reflexive thoughts on how you might do it, even if you don't have a specific plot line for it.
I'm trying here. I just can't think of it. Everything I think of. It's either I can get it. I can do it without the supernatural. That's no problem.
Sure. Okay. We'll come up with a genre of horror. Let's just start there. Very, very, very broad, high level. Pick a genre of horror movies.
Maybe like a Because we don't have very many of those anymore. So like a slasher, maybe. Is that considered horror?
No,
Yeah.
that's a genre. Okay, so a slasher flick. Okay, so you've got basically it's required that you have somebody who is murdering other people and is sort of like they don't necessarily need to be a voiceless Jason Voorhees, but they need to be some kind of killer. Okay, so that's not supernatural. Doesn't have to be. Just be your regular old murder. Now, it's short of being just a regular old murder mystery. It's got to be a horror movie. So no darkness and no isolation.
All right.
I'm not clever enough for this.
How about, okay, I don't know if this would end up being horror or if it would turn out to be something else, but what just came to my mind immediately is a person who kills people in broad daylight, like brutally murders them in the streets, but is permitted to do so.
Oh, like The Purge?
Yeah, but not like The Purge. It's just like this person, for whatever reason, nobody knows why, but it can and does do this. And you don't know why, but everybody turns the other cheek whenever it happens. But you're the only person who is just like, this isn't right. Like something needs to be done about this. That's the only thing I could think of that doesn't rely on supernatural. Where it's like,
well, it could be like a stranger in a new land that they go there on vacation or something. This remote place they heard about, and to those people, yeah, that kind of thing is fine.
Yeah.
The only other way that it comes to me in horror was like that Anthony Edwards movie when he knew the bomb was coming.
Oh, Miracle Mile.
Yeah, and no matter what he did, it just kept. He was trying to get out of the city, but everything ended up failing, and he ended up.
Yeah, no, that's true. An impending threat, and
because with the openness of being able to go anywhere, it has to be something in my mind large scale, something where. And not supernatural, like Jason can catch you no matter where you hide, but like something like a bomb coming that you just can't get away from no matter how hard you try.
Yeah, and darkness in that story was incidental. I mean, it could have taken place at noon, and just that they'd film.
Well, there were several parts of it during the day too. So I mean, that one could be. But when I think of horror, I think more of like even Scream comes to mind because there's no supernatural element to it.
No.
But it's people being terrorized, and
yes.
But again, that so much of that relies on darkness.
Yeah, and a lot of those scenes where he was chasing them, they were either trapped in the house or stuck with him in somewhere. It was
they
like
cut off. Yeah, because they put that house in a remote location. Yeah, like I said, I'm not sure I'm clever enough for this one.
See, and the kind of the reason I bring this up is because if you've ever saw the movie Cabin in the Woods, that movie, I think, in just sort of satirizing all the horror movie tropes, and a lot of people have said this, After Fashion was sort of a challenge to the horror industry to think of something new, because so much of that movie was based around, and the whole point of it really was to show off the formula for how most horror movies go,
right?
And it was also kind of a message to say, try to be more creative. So sort of in that vein, I was like, okay, well, if you had to take the lesson of Cabin in the Woods literally, how would you make a movie that defies all of the usual tropes? And those three elements are the ones that I thought are most widely used in most horror movies that we know of. I'm not saying that there are bad movies that use these things. For example, John Carpenter's The Thing relies heavily on darkness and isolation for its plot, and it's one of my favorite movies ever made. I'm not saying it's bad to have those things. I'm just wondering how many ideas could be generated if you couldn't have those elements be things you have to lean on for the sake of your atmosphere and your plot. But anyway,
I think you needed at least one, just because, and it's not because there's no original ideas. It's because horror is based on things that scare us. If the movie or the book doesn't scare us, then the author did something wrong.
Mm.
And so much of our fears are primal, and it is isolation. It's darkness.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what scares us.
Well, now we're at the bottom of the hour, so I'm going to open it up to the chat. And so everyone, if you have questions for us per usual, by all means, ask us questions, put plenty of question marks afterwards. If you have a movie pitch or a plot line sort of idea, instead of question marks, put exclamation points afterwards, just enough of them that we can see that so I can tell one from the other and to differentiate here. Remember, guys, that after this stream, over on 2 Cents Plus, Monkey and Satsu will be running around in the forest, eating people, all that fun stuff. And tomorrow night, per usual, will be on Monkey's channel at the usual time. Mr. Shadow says, Scribe, do you mind if some of us do our own videos on this? Can there be a collab vids? I by all means, go ahead. I'm not more than happy to see that. I don't have anything to collaborate. I'll just offer the challenge, but by all means. Hate Campbell says, Scribelight, have you ever heard that Marvel canceled Luke Cage? Did they cancel Luke Cage too? I hadn't heard that. I knew they canceled Iron Fist. There's rumors that they canceled Iron Fist and Luke Cage so they could merge the two series together. Luke Cage canceled by Netflix. Yep. Well, that's an interesting thing because they left Luke Cage off being a crime boss in Harlem, which completely contradicted everything about the character they'd established in 2 seasons previous. How do they reconcile that? Maybe they'll do Heroes for Hire somehow. I don't know. Thank you, Cryptic. There should be a sequel called Cabin the Hood. If Leprechauns can do it, Cabin in the Woods can too. I still have to watch Tales from the Hood. I still haven't watched that yet.
Yes.
Alice Morgan says, Faces in the Crowd. Faces in the Crowd. Is that a movie? I suppose it could be. Harvest Marva says, Times Square, biggest road rage ever. People killing each other on the streets and the process of containment being watched on that giant screen and the rest of the world in broad daylight. It would be a really tricky tightrope to not have that turn into something cartoonish.
Well, that's what I was thinking. There's like a thin line with those requirements between action and horror.
Yeah, again, and like I said, this is part of the challenge, creating something that's horror and not just like, a slugfest kind of thing. And I know I'm being a complete nitpicker, but again, this is part of the challenge. Let's see. Lenugget says, a world where PC culture is the norm and stoning comes in any form of a hurt feeling, where everyone is the killer when you hurt one's feelings. The Hillary cabinet. Let's see. Raymond Lewis. A woman is being stalked by a former lover of hers, though her family is untrusting of her. Her stalker leaves her love letters, but coded inside of the letters is him counting down to her death date. Okay. That does fulfill all the requirements, technically. Yeah. Nothing supernatural. She's not isolated. The climax is where you'd have to run into something, maybe. But I don't know. I guess I didn't know how to do it. Let's see. I know I'm probably going to miss... Guys, my chat is jumping, so if I didn't get to your ID or something, please post it again. Devil Fruit Zero says, Ranting Monkey, have you seen that an MSNBC person said the Cherokee Nation is racist for not supporting Warren?
No, I didn't.
I think that might have been one of the MSS news stories, so check that, Monkey. You might talk about that on your next morning stream.
Wow.
Cannibal Caretaker says, they live, but it's a SJW and the aliens are naked Trumps. Ugh. Yuck. Kukin 1928, a serial killer that has never been caught and seen you a letter marking you for death, or sent you a letter marking you death. It's sort of like with the boyfriend thing. Let's see. Failure B says, the dark, unknown, the phenomenon, monsters, bloodletting, so many things now just doesn't scare us because we've been facing it so much in movies and reality now. Well, yeah, the bar has been set a little higher these days, but, horror movies are still very popular. Things that are actually scary versus just being gore fests, those are rarer creatures. So let's see. Stargazer Nuts Horror Story. YouTube decides to take money from subscriber super chats if they don't like what that subscriber says and gives it to charity, taking it from the creator also. Yeah, that was the thing that I wasn't quite sure of. If somebody donates on a super chat, is all of the money sent to the charity? Because it seemed to imply that none of the money went to the creator.
The way that it's mentioned, it leaves open that it was possibly just their cut.
Okay.
So I wish they'd written the article better, because it does make it. It can be read that all of the super chat goes to the charity, but it could also be read that only you, and YouTube hasn't answered. I asked them earlier, and it's been,
and I tweeted them too. Yeah,
tweeted and retweeted at them, and that they're being silent on this one. So I'm waiting.
I just want to know if they are doing it. I don't have any way to change their minds, obviously, but if they are doing it, I would like to have the option to choose the charity the money ends up at, if they have that kind of thing, because I don't really want to do a charity picked by YouTube. Check Your Logic says, a Mexican escaping his identity by wearing white makeup and blue contacts hides his name, all because he's ashamed to be thought of as Democrat, since so many other Latinos around him are. Let's see. Prospero says, I can't think of anything scarifying, or I'm assuming you mean more scarifying than the original plot of Spellbound, Scribe Light Spellbound. I know the title. I don't remember the movie. And my chat jumped again. Sorry, guys. Backscan says, would science fiction count as supernatural? No. I think you could. I didn't want to say science fiction because that still technically exists in the realm of possibility, sort of, kind of. I mean, there is a fine line between science fiction and magic, supernatural, depending. So, but I didn't want to leave out that, because if somebody wanted to set something in the future, I didn't want to necessarily say that was, off limits or something, or on a moon base or something like that. Moon base. Let's see. American Celt, Scribe Light, on technologically advanced alien hunting in a major city. Oh, you mean Predator 2? Yeah, but there was darkness, a lot of darkness there. Not that it was a bad movie, but Cynical Lindsay says, a dystopian world where women rule and men are the oppressed. Think reverse Handmaid's Tale. I don't know if that's a horror movie. I guess it could be, depending on how much of a misogynist you are, but yeah. Let's see. Random American says, YouTuber starts killing all the people that have been giving them super chats, and the last person to give is the only one who notices and no one believes him. Are you implying something? Let's see. Dark Goliath says, I'm thinking of a stalker horror based off of the plot of What About Bob, where Bob is similar to Hannibal from Silence of the Lambs. Yeah, a stalker, and a couple of people have said this, or like the guy with the letters and everything. A stalker is a horror movie. If you ever want to, there are some real life horror stories of just like people stalking other people and them not doing anything that's technically criminal, but really terrorizing someone in their life. Now, ultimately, usually those stories and movies and such result in some midnight intrusion into the person's home and chasing them down like a serial killer kind of thing. But a long, prolonged terror campaign on the part of just an individual going about the world is things that actually happen. So, did you ever see the Pursuit of Happiness, that Will Smith movie?
Yeah.
I always thought that was a horror movie. That was an economic horror movie. Because, well, I mean, if you watch it with an eye of, here's a guy who is absolutely trapped and no way out, and obviously the movie takes liberties with reality versus the real story, but all the same, the way it's set up and is in such a way where the guy is like got no options no matter what he's doing. So I always thought that was kind of a horror story after a fashion.
I think 7 Pounds is more of one, which, by the way, is another great Will Smith movie. If you guys haven't seen it, it's one of his lesser known. Man, that was such a good movie.
Raymond Lewis says, like Black Swan. Yeah, Black Swan is like a psychological thriller kind of thing. I mean, I guess it went into the realm of horror in a way, even though it's not as good as, in my opinion, it's not as good as a lot of people said it was. Because Natalie Portman can't act for shit. Or maybe it's just the direction. I don't know. But
no, she can't act.
Let's see. Angela Arriaga says, Scribe Light, slasher flick, guy with a knife who stalks people who commute by trolley or other commuter train, follows them through the car, other passengers not paying attention until it's done. Huh. Well, I guess that's not technical.
Aren't they?
It is kind of isolation. It is
isolated.
a little bit of isolation, but you've got lots of people around, and it's effectively a public space that's moving. I suppose it's like Murder on the Orient Express kind of thing.
Sorry, Jack. Yeah, I had found that story. I'm sorry. It's the one about the MSNBC analyst. Yeah.
Devil Fruit Zero says, Scribe, have you heard that people have hidden bodies in plain sight as Halloween props? I have heard that before. I don't know if it's necessarily the most effective way to hide a body, but let's see. Backscan says, Scribe, okay, wouldn't the show The Crazies count? Not always in the dark, being around people is more scary than isolation and not supernatural. Actually, you know what? The Crazies they did a remake recently, a few years ago. I really like that movie. The Crazies is really good, and you're right. I mean, you could argue that the town itself, as part of the plot, was isolated from the rest of the world for the sake of the affliction or whatever, but that's really me splitting hairs. So yeah, the Crazies was a good idea. It wasn't all requiring darkness and stuff. It was more another sort of invasion of the body snatchers. Who can you trust kind of thing. Personal paranoia is always a good element to use in a not traditional horror movie. And that's why The Thing works so well, which Monkey hasn't seen, which he really needs to see. Let's see what else. Have you heard people? Okay, sorry guys, I got to jump the chat again because this thing is just. Tartanus says, Scribe, living a day-to-day life with rising paranoia that everyone is watching and someone will kill them. Paranoid person kills intended killer. Wrong one. I think I've seen a movie like that. Although, it's a rare movie where you take the protagonist and successfully turn them into the villain by the end of the movie. It has been done. I've seen it done a couple of times. It's always very gratifying when a screenwriter and actors and everything are able to do that. The one that always comes to mind is, strangely enough, The Devil's Rejects. It's really odd how by 3/4 of the way through the movie, somehow Rob Zombie turned our rampaging family of killers into the victims of someone who's even more psycho than they were, and who started out as the good guy. It's, people give Rob Zombie a lot of shit for his movies, and rightfully so in a lot of cases, but I still have a lot of respect for The Devil's Rejects, especially coming after House of a Thousand Corpses. It's just such a light speed jump in quality and storytelling from one to the other. I'm not saying it's cinematic classic or anything, but just to see the contrast between House of a Thousand Corpses and how that movie worked versus Devil's Rejects just a couple of years thereafter. Very impressive. Let's see. Methdos says, Scribe, how about a school shooting movie? You don't know how many shooters there are. The main guys just have to run and get out. Still kind of relies on isolation in the school if they're having to escape. Trying to escape a location is, sort of one of the elements of a lot of horror movies. So I'm not saying there can't be any scenes where someone's got to escape from something, but if that's the prime thing where kids are trapped in a school and they got to get away from the guy stalking them, that's kind of the deal. Oh, what else? Lenugget says, I'm going to watch Hackers after this, then Antitrust, because I'm pretty positive we are living some of both of those movies. Antitrust was so bad. Oh, it was so bad. Hackers is classic, but let's see. Gen T Maxi Scribe, a guy orders a Dr. Pepper on the rocks at a beach party. Happily, he drinks his Dr. Pepper until he realizes that dancing between his ice cubes is a cockroach. That is a horror story. That's like a short movie right there.
Dancing between his ice cubes.
Jack Gunsky says, Scribe, a horror movie without supernatural is by definition a thriller. No. There's nothing supernatural in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So it's a horror movie.
Well, I've heard Texas Chainsaw Massacre and not Jason.
Friday the 13th.
Yeah, Friday the 13th, classified as thrillers much more than I have as horror movies.
Well, the first Friday the 13th, by that definition, wouldn't be. It's still a horror movie. There's nothing supernatural about the first one. I mean, you could argue the very last 10 seconds is, but not really. The movie itself isn't. But it also, but you know, Friday the 13th is the quintessential, you know, cabin in the woods, you know, stalker in the darkness kind of thing. Let's see. Failure B says, Scribe, what about after a mutual breakup, you go on about your life, but you start getting letters that lead to a blind date and onto a New Year's party massacre? I guess it would depend on how you did it. Just as a general thing, I don't know. It's like, and again, I understand it's not difficult to sort of outline an entire movie in like a paragraph or something, but
dude, I got one. One.
Okay.
Same concept with a crazy ex-girlfriend who you broke up with. And every relationship you find out, I mean, every relationship you get in, you just keep getting these people who are the same. And you find out that this one person has gotten facial reconstructive surgery to continue to try to be with you on numerous occasions.
Yeah. Oh, that would be like the twist in the last 15 minutes kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like the entire movie, it'd be one of those fake out movies. There's a couple of movies out there that do this where like the entire movie, you think it's one kind of movie. And by the end, it's like a completely different kind of movie.
Yeah, like it'll play out kind of like a, you know, just regular, you know, life about a bachelor who's been trying to get his stuff together. And they'll talk about just random shit of, you know, trying to get himself together, maybe talk about his job and, you know, they go through each one of his girlfriends and how, you know, how the relationship failed or whatever. And then at the end, they just hit you with that shit and out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's like there was a this romantic comedy with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. It was called 500 Days of Summer, and it wasn't quite like this, but it was sort of like a romantic comedy where this guy was sort of in the dating world and he was kept trying to find the Mrs. Right and that kind of thing. You could do like 3/4 of the movie is something like that. And then, like, at the very end, you find out all the women were the exact same person, just some obsessed stalker person. Yeah. that would be great. That's actually pretty good. Now, the question is, could you get away with using the same actress in all the roles without anybody figuring it out until the end?
You'd have to do a lot of special effects, but you could do it.
Yeah, if they did that, I would prefer it be like some really brilliant makeup effects and not CGI. Yeah. But
the thing is, make it believable.
The thing is, each one of these women would have to progressively get slightly thinner than the last because she keeps having more stuff cut off.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's a good idea. Somebody out there, you need to write that book or make that movie. There you go. Let's see. Sorry, scroll back up a bit. I know I missed stuff. Backscan says, Scribe, did you ever see Friday the 13th, the series, and what did you think about it? I did. There was one episode, I think it was Friday the 13th, the series, I'm pretty sure, that I always found brilliant. And if you guys don't know, Friday the 13th, the series had nothing to do with Friday the 13th and Jason Voorhees and everything. If you've seen the TV show Warehouse 13, it's basically what that was. Warehouse 13 is essentially the grandchild of Friday the 13th, the series. So basically you had a shop that had all these cursed items, and these items got out into the world, and then the people at the shop had to go back and try to rescue them from the world because they were evil and cursed and all this other stuff. 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo kind of thing. There's one episode, if I'm remembering correctly, there's one episode where the items in question were a pair of white gloves, and they fell into the hands of a faith healer. And this guy, if he wore the gloves, he could heal anybody of any disease. The problem was the disease then was transferred into the gloves and into his hands, and he suffered pain and everything until he then took these gloves and transferred it to somebody else, killing them. So he could save lives so long as he murdered somebody shortly thereafter before it overtook his body.
Holy shit.
I really liked that episode. It was I really liked the concept. That was a cool one. Otherwise, I remember very little about Friday the 13th, the series. I remember that the main characters were an old man and then a somewhat attractive redhead, and then a goofy guy. And those are the three that were like running around trying to recover all of the artifacts and everything. Thank you, Cryptic. Movie about staying alive in a video game that's haunted by the ghost of Elizabeth Bathory. Die in the game and you die in real life with Frankie Muniz. I saw that fucking movie. Oh, that movie was so bad.
Oh, wait. I know what movie you're talking about.
Bathory, yeah. I think it was called Bathory or something, but it was a video game.
Yeah, it was a video game. Yeah.
It was so. I remember watching that with some friends. They got it like the bargain bin or something for like $1. It was
That
so
movie was
awful.
It was bad.
It was so bad. Yeah, what does that tell you? Raymond Lewis says, what about the movie From Hell? It relies on darkness, but it's a great movie. I didn't like From Hell. There's a lot of ways to do a Jack the Ripper story. Johnny Depp. The graphic novel was better overall. It was a Alan Moore deal. I didn't really like the movie. Johnny Depp's accent was ridiculous. Heather Graham, as clean and as straight of teeth as she was to play a Victorian prostitute, never bought it, never worked for me. I just laughed at that movie more often than I got scared by it. And the resolution to it is just, there's a lot of conspiracy theories about Jack the Ripper. That movie did not carry it off very well. Captain Bramble says, a movie where Pebbles the hamster returns from the toilet to take bloody revenge on mankind on a bright sunny day.
I support that.
Returns from the toilet is
Pebbles.
Yeah,
we miss you.
Yeah, Pebbles deserves her own movie, his own movie.
She deserved better.
Yeah, she deserved better.
We failed her society.
Let's see. Chadwick Dupree says, Hitchcock didn't invent horror movies, but he did a damn good job making them. Depends on the movie, true, but yeah, he didn't invent it. But Psycho still works. It has been my great pleasure, at least twice in my life, to watch someone see Psycho for the first time, having no idea of anything about it. I wish I could. It's one of those situations where you kind of wish you could sort of erase your mind and watch it fresh without knowing all the twists and such, because they're basically like old hat now. But that was really fun.
I got to just throw this in there. It's kind of a little bit off topic. Lady Monkey has a horrible memory when it comes to movies, so she can actually do that. Like if we wait a decade, it's brand new to her, and I remember every fucking line, and I'm so jealous of her.
Yeah. There's some movies where I kind of wish, I wish I could watch this for the first time, or I wish I could watch. There's a whole bunch of classic movies that like I know about them before I see them, kind of thing, just because they're so part of the culture, especially like Psycho. So I already knew what the big twist was for Psycho before I saw it. But I have watched the reactions of a couple of people now in my life who saw Psycho for the first time. The original, not the stupid fucking remake, pointless remake. And it was really gratifying to see somebody like shocked, like what? Let's see. Harvest Marvis says, Scribe, have you ever seen the movie Enemy with Jake Gyllenhaal? Remember the end scene? I have not seen that movie. I know of it though. If you've seen Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal, now that is a horror movie after a fashion. It's not your traditional horror movie, but I guess you'd call this psychological thriller after a fashion. But that Nightcrawler was great, and Jake Gyllenhaal, his physical transformation and just the shit that character does, it's great. Raymond Lewis, what about the movie The Core? The Core is one of those if there's a thing called a guilty pleasure, The Core is one of my like guilty pleasures. It's an awful movie. It is such a waste of talent. The special effects are laughable, but it's so Jules Verne, Journey to the Center of the Earth, but with Hilary Swank being an astronaut pilot. Wow. But the cast is great. This is the problem. It's one of those movies where the cast is amazing, but it's awful, except for Hilary Swank. I know she got an Oscar and everything. I know. I don't like. I never really saw the draw to her all that much. $1 Million Baby is an exception, true. Everything else I ever saw her in, I never understood. Chatmore, Nightcrawler is excellent. Yes, if you have not seen Nightcrawler, it has nothing to do with X-Men. Find Nightcrawler starring Jake Gyllenhaal. It might be on Netflix. Watch that in the dark. It's great. Let's see. Raymond Lewis or Armageddon. Of course, I've seen Armageddon. That's not a. I mean, it might be a horror movie for logic and direction, but it's it's entertaining. Harvest Moore says Scribe Light, Jennifer Lopez in The Cell. I love the visuals of The Cell. There are some set pieces in that movie that are just beautiful, as well as being sort of horrific. As a movie, it sucks. It really sucks as a movie. But as a visual experience, it's really cool. But I could go on about that a little bit. But yeah, Vincent D'Onofrio is creepy as fuck in that. Let's see. Duck Dog says Unobtainium, and it had Bruce Greenwood. Fucking hilarious. Unobtainium. Bruce Greenwood. I was talking about something else. I obviously missed it. Alan Sawyer says, do you remember Nightbreed? Do I remember Nightbreed? I've got a VHS copy of it over on a shelf somewhere around here. It's the only time that Cronenberg, I ever saw Cronenberg play a role in a movie. I won't tell you what the role is in case you haven't seen Nightbreed. And Cronenberg was the scariest part of the movie to me. Because everybody else in the movie was supposed to be scary, but they were the heroes. So, yeah. Devil Fruit Zero says, I'm going to go. Have a good night all. Bye, Devil.
See you, Devil.
5-minute warning, guys. I heard that they were either going to remake Nightbreed or do a TV show of Nightbreed. Either one of those things would be a bad idea, maybe. Let's see. Wolfgang Allen says, not a horror movie, but what about Mr. Nobody? Remind me who's in that. Because I don't, it sounds familiar, but I'm going to need an actor or something. There's a, if you want to see a really creepy movie, Minus Man with, oh, I suddenly forget his name. The guy with the nose and the, like, wow.
The nose.
Wow. That guy, the blonde guy.
Fuck.
You know, Shanghai.
His brother's an actor too.
Yeah, I suddenly forget his name for all this.
The fuck is his name?
Bad comic, Mr. Frost. Fuck. Now, that the first 10-15 minutes of that movie, Jeff Goldblum has never been scarier all by himself than
Owen
Mr.
Wilson.
Frost.
Thank you.
Owen Wilson, yeah. Mr. Frost. If you guys can find a copy of Mr. Frost, I don't think it's easy to find. I think I tried to look it up on DVD. I don't even know if they have it available anymore. But yeah, the first 15 minutes of Mr. Frost are the scariest that Jeff Goldblum has ever been. And I'm not talking about like The Fly. The Fly is a great, scary movie in a lot of ways. But as a villain, Jeff Goldblum has never been scarier than in the first 15 minutes of Mr. Frost. The rest of the movie, and the hairstyles, and seeing the mom from Picket Fences trying to be sexy, but the first 15 minutes of Mr. Frost are great. Let's see. Ebony Williams, thoughts on green bean casserole? Monkey thinks it's a horror story.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Don't eat that shit.
Harvest Marvel, Scribe Light, which did it better, American Psycho or Natural Born Killers? For like social and political satire? Well, I mean, it depends. American Psycho did a better job of critiquing yuppie culture, and Natural Born Killers did a much better job of critiquing media culture. So they're kind of two different. They're operating on two different levels of commentary. So I like American Psycho a bit better, just because of how stylized it was. But there's a lot of entertainment in Natural Born Killers just because it's so cartoony. And you had Rodney Dangerfield as a pervo old dad, which was just so weird to see him in. Yeah, Oliver Stone did a lot of weird things in that movie that are classic. And Robert Downey Jr. was amazing. His Australian accent in that is something to behold. 2-minute warning, guys. Hayden White, have you seen Raising Cain? I love Raising Cain. Again, one of those situations where you had John Lithgow at probably his creepiest. It's always an odd thing where you got somebody who does their one movie where they're the creepiest they've ever been. Jeff Goldblum, Mr. Frost, John Lithgow in Raising Cain, Robin Williams in 1 Hour Photo. Yeah, Raising Cain's great. It's one of those movies nobody ever really talks about, but I love it. Let's see. Raymond Lewis says, I haven't seen any version of I Spit on Your Grave. The original's definitely worth seeing. The remake, it doesn't really have the same impact as the first one because it's more produced. There was something that was kind of sort of raw and naturalistic about the first movie, whereas the remake is very Hollywood. But I do own the original, the remake, and the sequel to the remake, which has nothing to do with the first one except the scenario. But let's see, 1 minute warning. So Prospero says, I love Rear Window. I haven't seen Vertigo. Just saw the restored North by Northwest in the theater this year. Yeah. Could talk about Hitchcock for a long time. Haper75 says, Scribe, I check your Twitter. I sent you my idea. Okay, I'll do that. Ah, God, you know, reading this stuff, I'm just reminded how many fucking movies I've seen. It's like, it says, Mr. Frost, like, oh yeah, I'll tell you this and that, the name of some, you know, obscure horror movie. Yeah. Oh, by the way, last bit and I've said this before, if you ever want to see the greatest Christopher Walken role of all time, him playing a vampire and playing it right, you have to find a movie called Habit. No, sorry, not Habit. Sorry, that's a different vampire movie. The Addiction. Sorry, The Addiction. With Christopher Walken's in it for like 5 minutes, but his role in that as an elder vampire is so perfect. It's great. If you can find it, it's a difficult movie to find. The Addiction. What's her name? Who plays the girl? Oh, her last name's White or something. Anyway, it's a black and white movie. That's not Betty White. Abel Ferrara, if I say that name right, anyway, the guy who did Driller Killer, he directed that movie, and Bad Lieutenant, he did The Addiction. If you can find The Addiction, it's artsy, but it's worth it for Christopher Walken. Anyway, guys, we're at the top of the hour, already over time. Thank you guys so much for joining us, as you always do. You are the best audience, certainly, bar none, on the internet combined. Even if YouTube's going to eventually take your money and give it to some unknown charity. Thank you, moderators, for keeping an eye on things, even though everyone here is so well behaved. Chatmort says Angela White. No. Angela White is not a horror story. Angela White is one fucking hot porn star. But anyway, and everyone who donated, thank you so much for your generosity. I really do appreciate it. It'll go towards pizza and Dr. Pepper here pretty soon. But aside from all that, Monkey, Satsu, thank you for joining me as always. And everyone, your lives make us sad. We will see you tomorrow.
Bye, guys.
Come watch us play the forest.
Although I got to say, I kind of like Lilith Lust a little bit better because she's a redhead and very, very pale skin. But Angela White, damn, she's got Australian accent, and man, that rack, I tell you what.
I don't know porn stars by name, so I just looked her up. That girl has some big old titties.
Holy shit. That's something for sure. Let's see. So again, as I'm making this tradition now, I'm looking into my book, Screw the Roses, Send Me the Thorns, The Romance and Sexual Sorcery of Sadomasochism, flipping to a random page to find our secret word. And today's secret word is, that's appropriate enough. Today's secret word is pleasure.